USP is with the third party, but sending you flirty posts. How to respond when this isn't the version you want. So I've actually been posting a lot of videos on this recently about not entertaining the old unfavorable versions if they're not showing up as the new version, because you're holding the old unfavorable version in play by entertaining the old version. So this is why nervous system regulation is really important, because I don't want you doing this to try and manipulate the physical world. Again, it's always about checking in with yourself. Am I doing this from a place of fear? Which is why ultimatums obviously backfire for a lot of people, because they're doing it out of fear that they're not going to get what they want. But if you give an ultimatum to someone and you can be okay with the result no matter what they say in the moment, even if it seems like it's backfiring, you're going to win there. Like, it's going to work out in your favor. If you're giving an ultimatum because you're scared, it's going to backfire. So that's just an example. So if they send you a text message and you want more than just a text message, and that text message doesn't really make you feel good, and you feel like you're just responding to keep them talking to you, that's taking action from a place of fear. You're responding to a message that you're not really happy with just because you're worried. Can't talk, sorry. Just because you're worried that if you don't, that they're not going to talk to you. And that's going to backfire, and it's also holding that version of them that just sends you flirty text messages and doesn't treat you seriously and shit in play. So if you get a text message that doesn't feel good, if they're showing up as the version that you don't want them to, don't entertain it. You don't have to respond. Just don't do it by going, I'm not going to respond so that he'll or she'll feel, or they'll feel bad and then they'll want to message me, or they'll regret it. Or don't do it from that place. Just be like, that's not the version of them that I want them to be. And until they're that version, I'm not responding. And you have to be okay with that. And if you can't, then you can keep doing what you're doing until your mindset is in a better place and you've done some nervous system regulation. I hope that helps. Definitely feel free to ask a follow-up question. Your mind has been so busy with work and uni. How do you stay on top of your thoughts when you're so busy? It should actually be easier. So, okay. Correct me if I'm reading this incorrectly, right? But it seems like you're worried that you're not affirming as much for the thing you want because you're so busy. That's fine. It's actually not a bad thing to not be thinking about the thing that you want. And I know that law of assumption is all about thoughts, but it's really, again, you don't have to believe, you just have to not disbelieve. And the affirming work is really just to chip away at the disbelief. It's not to necessarily create a belief. You could have everything that you want freely if you didn't have the limiting beliefs creating a dam, stopping them from flowing through, right? So if you're too busy to think about the thing you want, that's fine, because at least in those moments, you're not thinking opposing thoughts. And then when you have a moment, or as it naturally pops into your mind, then you can think your affirmations or flip the opposing thoughts. So I hope that I read that correctly or got what you were saying correctly. It's getting dark here. I'll have to get up and turn the light on in a moment. I hope that helps. Feel free to ask a follow-up question. And what do you do with your negative thoughts when your brain is saying the opposite of what you are? So you can kind of try and lighten the mood a bit by kind of going, silly brain. It's like, treat it like a drunk friend, or like that coworker that just talks a lot of shit at work. Like, all right, Cheryl, chill out. Just to try and make yourself feel a bit better, because you know, right? Like, you know that it's just there to try and keep you safe. But I want to remind everyone, though, it's not your feelings that manifest. It's your most consistent thoughts and your subconscious beliefs. So even though feeling good helps the process, because it's easier to stay on top of your thoughts when you feel good, if those thoughts are popping up and it's making you like feel shitty about yourself, know that that feeling is not what's manifesting, and don't panic, and just tell yourself a new story, and then distract yourself with things that make you feel good, things you enjoy. Watch a comedy. Like, I have my go-to like nostalgic things that I like to watch, or like feel good things that I like to watch as a bare minimum. Like, if I don't want to go out and do anything, you know, those things. New Girl, love that. Well, season 1 to 6, season 7, I don't even bother with. Queer Eye, I don't care who you are, you'll get something positive out of Queer Eye. Like gay, straight, whatever. It's awesome. And I was actually referred to Queer Eye by a straight dude that I used to work with. And the reason I hadn't watched it was because I didn't really get, like, the original Queer Eye for the straight guy was like not really my cup of tea. And this is like not the same at all. If you saw that and that's why you haven't given it a try, give it a try. Trust me. I like to go to the movies by myself during the day, like on my day off or on my like business day where I might not have as many calls, so that it's an empty cinema and I have the whole cinema to myself. You know, take yourself out for a meal, something. Google free things to do in your area and see if there's anything that's in line with like your hobbies and your interests, and do those things. Hang out with friends, distract yourself. But leave your thoughts on a positive trajectory and then do those things. And then it's going to be easier to stop those opposing thoughts from popping up. And look, with time, it will take a bit of time. When you start changing your thoughts, it's going to take a bit of time for you to be okay with what you're thinking, and for it to be the new reflex that you go to a more positive place. Especially if you're coming from a background like me where you used to be like quite a negative person. And again, like, I'm never saying that as a negative thing. That's, you were that way because of your past experiences, your upbringing, whatever it was. But the positive thing is you don't want to be that way anymore, and that's, you're already winning, and just keep moving in that direction. Have you manifested anything in your life which made you feel stronger about manifesting? Yeah, so what I always advise to people who are new to this is to do a mini manifestation list, as well as manifesting in all areas, which I spoke about earlier. So write like just a few things down. Some can be like, someone said this to me today, and some can be some tangible things like, I don't know, if your coworker normally would offer to get you a coffee, or like if no one ever offers you to give you to get you a coffee, someone offered to buy me a coffee today. If they usually offer to buy you a coffee, someone offered to get me a hot chocolate today. Just little things. Someone let me in front of them in the line at the supermarket today. Things like that. Someone told me, one of my clients said that one of her first things that she did on her mini manifestation list was someone complimented my eyebrows, and it happened soon after. And so doing those things helps you like build your faith and trust in it for the larger things. And it's also good to use that as a tool, like because when you want to manifest something new in, or you're manifesting something in that seems bigger, because you've got more resistance to that thing, it's good to just use the mini manifestation list as a tool when you start to doubt, because that doubt's going to try and creep up on you here and there. And it's just like, you do the list again and you're like, oh, why would I ever doubt that I'm the fucking god of my reality? Affirming and SATS, which is better in your opinion? So SATS isn't just visualization. I know a lot of people think that it's just for visualizing. Those who don't know, it means state akin to sleep. So anytime you're in the process of falling asleep, when you're like sleepy, or you're just waking up, or you're really relaxed, is when your brain waves are in a state where they're most susceptible to suggestion. A lot of people like to use that for visualization, but not everyone likes to visualize. I'm not a big visualization person. I'm a daydreamer, but I can't like sit down and be like, okay, I'm going to visualize a scene now. So you can just do like listen to affirmations. I have affirmation videos on my YouTube channel. There's a playlist for them, but they're also they're the first videos I posted. So you could just listen to those like quietly as you're falling to sleep, or listen to them as you're like half waking up, brushing your teeth or whatever in the morning. That's still doing the same thing, because your mind is in that receptive state. So it's really about like, what kind of a learner are you? How does your mind most easily absorb information? Do that at those times, but you don't also like have to do it at those times. It's just a way of kind of utilizing the state that your brain is in when you're sleepy or waking up or relaxed. You're seeing crazy signs, numbers, unexplainable syncs everywhere daily, but no physical movement. Okay, so signs, numbers, synchronicities, all that, they're just manifestations as well. So you can assign the meaning that they mean something, but I wouldn't put too much stock in that. I would just focus on like when you see them, just use it as a prompt to go, yes, it's already here. Just keep using everything as a prompt to affirm that what you want is here right now. And yeah, don't get too sort of wrapped up in signs, because then you're just going to be looking for signs all the time. And like I said, if you're looking for proof out of a place of fear that you're not going to get what you want, it's going to backfire in some way, or it's going to be disappointing in some way. You know, like, you're the power. So don't put the power in any of these things outside of you. Like I said, with the numbers, for example, that's neuroscience. That can be explained by neuroscience. What you're thinking of the most, you notice more of. Your mind literally gets like Terminator vision, and it like zeroes in on the things that are in line with what you're thinking, good or bad. So that's why the mindset part of conscious manifestation is really important. That's programming your belief systems, and creating the autopilot, like the natural reflex of. That's why, like, the longer you do this shit, the easier it is for you to manifest things, because it just becomes, it's less work. Your mind is lazy, right? It likes to do the same things it's always done. It's easier. So that's why you kind of feel that resistance when you change your thoughts. But also, like, the positive thing is when you do these things consistently, change your thoughts consistently, they start to gather their own momentum, and they slow the momentum of the opposing thoughts and the limiting beliefs, and start to kind of get a roll on themselves. Is it possible that you're getting the signs but you haven't established your desire strongly enough? So I think I half answered that before. Yes, you're getting the signs because you're manifesting them. It's not necessarily that you haven't, I don't really know what you mean by established your desire strongly enough, but again, just use everything as a prompt to just, like, if it makes you think of your manifestation, just make sure you're thinking in line with it already being here, basically. And stop looking for the proof, because if you're looking for the proof out of fear that you're not going to get what you want, or that you're not going to see the proof, then it's not working in line with your manifestation. Like, you're in awareness, but the universe doesn't know what you want to receive, so it's confused. You're the universe. Let that sink in for a moment. You're the universe. Nothing outside of you is judging whether or not you can have what you want, or whether you believe enough to have what you want. You don't even have to believe. You just have to not disbelieve more than you believe. So many people, because of their upbringing or previous experiences, just completely close off all possibilities of something being able to happen for them. Because, like I said, you know, examples I gave, like, I saw my parents work full-time for other people growing up. So the idea of, like, I wanted to start a business for so long, but I never did, because I was like, oh, that's just not what we do, you know? And then I had to chip away at that belief by going, no, fuck that. And only because I changed my thoughts did that change, like, how confident I felt to, like, give myself a go and start my own business, as an example. So you're the universe. So in that sense, are you confused? Do you know exactly what you want? Do you keep chopping and changing your affirmations all the time out of fear that the ones that you're saying aren't working? Your mind knows what you mean, what your intention behind your words are. You don't need to word things perfectly. In terms of wording affirmations, for example, it's about finding what feels either the most empowering for you to say or the least resistant for you to say, because you don't have to feel excited. You don't have to feel like you already have it. You just, you don't even have to feel good when you're saying it, but it is good to be in a place of neutrality where you kind of feel indifferent, unaffected either way of, like, what you're saying. So yeah, again, I know it's hard when you only have a few characters in the comments, but get clear on what you want. Stop chopping and changing your affirmations or your visualizations or whatever, if that's the case. Your mind knows what you mean, and stop looking for the proof, because that is reinforcing your disbelief, which is creating that dam that's stopping your manifestation from flowing through. And I also want to say, you don't have to be 100% on top of the shit, right? If you think, use the dam analogy, you don't have to chip away at the whole dam for the water to start flowing, right? You just have to chip away at it enough. Like, you have to think in line more. So if it's like 51% more than the 49% of disbelief, that's going to be enough for things to start trickling through at least. And then that reinforces your belief as you see it, but don't look for it. With time, you'll beat your rumination. Yes, but again, it's also not just about the thoughts, right? Yes, it's the thoughts, the most consistent thoughts and the subconscious beliefs that manifest. But if you're feeling like, if you're doing the mindset stuff and you're feeling anxious for a really long period of time, or you're finding that you're like feeling very out of control of your emotions, then the thoughts aren't enough and you need to start taking the idea of nervous system regulation seriously. Because it's not your feelings or your nervous system that manifest, but your body works on a loop. So you program it, your body stores it. You think of yourself like a vessel, your body stores it, and then it's kind of creating a feedback loop. And so sometimes, and oftentimes you do, like initially when people come to this stuff and they hear like, oh, it's the thoughts that manifest, it's a relief, like I said earlier in the thing, especially when you've like been listening to a lot of law of attraction concept, and it's like, oh, well, if I have to be positive all the time, I'm not going to be able to get what I want, so I'm just going to put it in the too hard basket, which is not what you're doing. You're always manifesting. It just means that you're not being on top of your thoughts. So when you come across law of assumption, often for analytical, overthinking people like myself, it's a relief, and you're like, awesome, all I have to do is think in line. It doesn't matter how I feel. And initially, it'll be enough to feel good. For a decent amount of time, for me, it was a couple of years. But then if you think again of your body like a vessel, think of like a cup, right? Your cup, I gave this analogy in my most recent YouTube video. So think of, I'm not going to use that cup. Think of your body as a cup, and you've got liquid in it already. That's your old thoughts. And you start pouring a new liquid, new thoughts into the cup. Initially, it's going to be a mixture of things. That's what you're going to see and feel. Okay? But then eventually, the new liquid, if you keep being consistent with it, it's going to overtake the opposing things, the liquid that was there before. But as you're doing that, the shit that's been like being held in and suppressed all this time starts coming up. You hit a wall. You start feeling really fucking emotional for a lot of people. And you need to address that. You keep suppressing it, you're just holding it, and you'll keep experiencing it. You're feeling so grateful and at peace, so calm and certain. Love that. Just know that if that changes for a moment, like you have a bad moment or you have a bad day or whatever, or something happens that seems like it's against your manifestation, it's not necessarily against your manifestation. Don't jump to that conclusion. But also, one rainy day does not undo a summer. You'll never completely get rid of opposing thoughts. They're part of your survival instinct. Just so that you know, too many people put the pressure on themselves to be 100% and think, oh, I've had a bad day. I fucked up my manifestation. I have to go back to square one. And that just seems too hard, and then they give up. Don't do that. Just to prepare you. You know, these things happen. We're human. Should you move on from M? I'm not doing a reading, guys. This is conscious manifestation. I teach you how to stop putting your power outside of you, because the power, you are the power, you are the magic, you are the universe. And the only reason that things don't go your way is because you keep putting your power outside of you. And checking with reading, like people who do readings and stuff, is projecting out that you don't have what you want. So if you have a question about conscious manifestation, I'd be happy to answer. Thank you. Yes, Bart gets a lot of love on my page, rightly so. Can you manifest a partner cheating on you? You're always manifesting. Do you want them to cheat on you, first of all? You're always manifesting. So if you're asking because someone has and you're wondering if you created it, you're always manifesting. That is my answer. Remember, you don't manifest what you want, you manifest what you are. So if your self-concept about yourself, funnily enough, isn't great, your self-esteem isn't great, you, on a subconscious level, even that you're not aware of, like feel like you're not worthy. I gave the example earlier in the live. People who are not comfortable with what, there are going to be some people who are uncomfortable with what I'm about to say. but I'm going to say it anyway. It's the best example I have. Growing up, my parents always said, we've got great looking kids. Geez, we've got great looking kids. Don't we have good looking kids? And so I never had a thing about like feeling unattractive, but what I'm trying to say is that it wasn't necessarily the best thing, because then I had a belief that my worth was in that. And so I found it easy to like attract people, but then I would self-sabotage because I thought, oh, I'm not what people expect when they look at me. Like, I'm a bit of a nerd, if you can't fucking tell, right? I'm not. So many people, and I have a bit of a chip on my shoulder about it still that I need to work on, that people assume when they look at me that I've had a privileged upbringing and that life has always been easy. Any ease in my life I've created. I grew up in a really rough area. We were not very well off. I did not have things handed to me on a silver platter. I'm a bit of a nerd, and I always had this thing where it's like, people look at me, they might find me attractive, but then when they realize I'm a nerd, or they realize that I didn't grow up as well off as them or whatever, they're not going to like me. That was subconscious. When I look back, I can see what I was doing. And that's something I've had to work on. Your thing will be your own thing. So you don't have to delve into your past. Eventually, you'll realize where you were getting in your own way. If you kind of go delving into the past to try and figure out how you've been getting in your own way, oftentimes you just create more of it, or you get down on yourself and you start like, ruminating on regret. And it's like, that's then, this is now. Just tell the new story. Okay? Like, so I don't know if you followed that up with answering my question, whether they did cheat on you or whatever, but it's come from a place of fear. It's been manifested from fear of something, maybe because you were worried that they would cheat on you and so they did, or something like that. So focus on telling the new story. If this is someone that you want to stay with, you don't have to, right? Just because you manifested it happening doesn't mean that you have to stay in it. It's up to you. Feel free to ask a follow-up question if you like. I'm not doing readings, Deborah. I'm a conscious manifestation coach. I teach you how to hold on to your own power and create your own ideal life, as opposed to trying to rely on outside sources to fix things for you which won't work. It's up to you if you want to listen to what I have to say and start taking control of your life, or continue asking psychics and things questions that just project out that you don't have what you want. I used to be into the spiritual stuff, by the way. Like, let me just go into this for anyone who might be able to relate, right? When I was younger, I wanted to know like the meaning of life and how can I be happier. And I found that I, was a hippie for a long time. That's kind of what I found solace in for a while. But when I came to understand conscious manifestation, particularly from the law of assumption, I realized that all the things I was doing under the spiritual umbrella were just pushing away the things I wanted, because it was creating this crutch of like checking. I learned how to read tarot cards. I got really good at it. People can read the energy. It's all energy, right? I got really good at it, but it didn't serve me because I was constantly asking as if the power was outside of me. And that's just projecting out, because you're living projectors. It's projecting out that you don't have what you want, because you wouldn't be like, would you need to check to see if you've got the thing you want if you had it? No. What's my recommended manifestation method? Do you mean like technique? Because it's all just, firstly, I'm going to go into like the gimmicky shit, like the 369 method or the double cup method or all those things. That's bullshit. That's gimmicky. The only reason it works is because someone hears it, thinks that's going to give me what I want. And then it works because they believed that it would result in what they wanted. But if they haven't changed who they are fundamentally, they're not going to be able to hold on to that thing anyway. You manifest what you are, not what you want. So if after you get the thing you want, you're still the version of you who couldn't originally have it or hold on to it in the past, you're not going to hold on to it. In terms of the concept or the manual of manifestation that I teach law of assumption, which tends to resonate a lot with people who have a tendency to overthink or analyze things. But also for me, it answers the question of what's actually the seed of manifestation, which is your most consistent thoughts and your subconscious beliefs. It's not your feelings that manifest your vibration or frequency. Those are manifestations in themselves. So in terms of the tools that I used that I found helpful to focus my thoughts when I was new to all this, I scripted very regularly, consistently, daily for the first few months. I don't really do that anymore. Like eventually, like I said, it becomes a habit to flip the opposing thoughts and all of that sort of thing. And you, when you focus on feeling calm and doing things that you enjoy instead of sitting at home and wallowing on the absence of the thing that you want or the seeming absence of the thing you want because you can't see in your direct line of vision what's happening in the background and the whole fucking wide world around you, what's coming together in your favor. Like that's not helpful. That's what helped me. That's what helped me focus my thoughts in the beginning. And like I keep saying to everyone, because I don't want them to get to the point of hitting the wall and then taking the whole doing things that feel good thing seriously, do it preemptively. Because it wasn't very nice, I can tell you that much. And the reason I teach this is to save you guys making the mistakes I made. Do those things. Do the things that feel good as well. Again, it can be as simple as watching something that makes you laugh on TV. It doesn't have to be going out and organizing big, grandiose things and holidays and shit if you're not feeling up to it or you haven't manifested yourself to a place where you can do those things, etc., etc. Google free shit to do in your area, you know?